Hello, I'm Miguelto, indie developer, and today FNAF theories. And yes, that title is not clickbait. I fully believe that Tales from the Pizzaplex books are not canon to the games. And now, I know that Reddit might have a problem with me, but I'm not the only one that believes this. We have a variety of opinion. For example, we got writers that is open for both possibilities, which one the games confirms. Now we have game theory that is on the stronghold that the books are not canon until the game says so. And we have she's always nervous that she's assuming the books are canon, but she doesn't like that idea. And I don't like that idea either. So I'm going to just tell you the different reasons why I believe these books are not canon, and none of the books are, except of course for the security logbook and the interactive novels. Alright, so let's begin with the first part. The factory in the Secret of the Mimic trailer. In the trailer, we clearly see a fully operational high-tech factory, but in the book, Edwin's factory is described as old and abandoned. He only managed to repair a few sections, using those to create a small apartment and a tiny workshop. Meanwhile, in the trailer features multiple rooms working robots like Dolly the Nurse and the Mailbot, which create a major continuity conflict. This disconnect strongly suggests the games and books are different universes, much like how the Silver Eyes trilogy and Fazbear's Fry differ from the games. Now, we have Steel Wool saying that if you read the books, you don't know the full story. This does not confirm or deny the canonicity of the book, so I can still assume these books are not canon, at least not yet. Now, with my second point of evidence, new characters not mentioned in the books. Robots like Maestro Music Man, Dolly, and the Mabel and the Helper software never appears or are mentioned in Tales from the Pizzaplex. Even with characters explored Edwin's factory in the books, the only tech mentioned are custom and unfinished robot parts. But in the trailer, they are fully operational and present in large numbers, clearly a different version of events. Now, for my third point of evidence, Edwin's living condition. In the books, Edwin is broke, working for Fazbear Entertainment just to survive. He can afford to move and live inside his broken factory with his son, but in the trailer, the factory is huge, active, and seemingly well funded. There is no sign of his living quarters or the financial hardship shown in the books. Now we just open a small parenthesis right here. I am discussing with this with someone on Reddit who said the game takes place long after the original story. This might be true, but here's my take. If it does happen way later, then we can assume Edwin would have completely destroyed the Mimic, or at least thrown away. I don't see him keeping robots around that are constantly reminds him of his son. Also, it makes total sense that he disappearing after his son dead. He wouldn't want to stay anywhere near the house that bring back all those painful memories. Now we can close that parenthesis and move to my next point. How the fuck do I pronounce this? MS is or Matses? I think it's Matses, I think, if my memory doesn't fail me. Alright, I'm sorry for it. Alright. Matses and his accent in the books. In Hell Wanted 2 teaser for the Secret of the Mimic, we see Matses leaving the factory, but Matses is never mentioned in the books at all. If this entirely existed in the same continuity, it would have been discovered by the characters who explored Edwin's factory. The answer is too significant to ignore. It shows another key difference between the books and the games. We could apply the same logic to the Blob too. It's clearly an agony-based creature, and it was probably created after the Snap Seeds fire. Another argument that I saw already was that maybe the blob is made of the people that the mimic killed in the pizzeria. While that is a cool theory, it doesn't explain why only certain animatronics have red eyes. For example, the puppet and baby doesn't have red eyes. which could suggest that the red eyes are tied specifically to the victims of those particular animatronics. That would mean the agony is more directly connected to them, not just the mimic's actions. Alright, now for my next point, the Pizzaplex staff and the sinkhole. In the games, the Pizzaplex workers are completely unaware of the underground Snap Seeds pizzeria. They find it by accident, discovering a sinkhole, random cables, and even an elevator that they weren't aware of. In contrast, the book describes Fazbear Entertainment as fully aware of the old pizzeria, planning to turn it into a museum before things go south. This is a massive difference in world building and knowledge continuity. Now for my next point, Fazbear awareness of the mimic. In the game lore, Fazbear seems to know about the mimic, or at least the modular exoskeleton it is based on. But in the books, Edwin never creates the mimic for Fazbear and never tells us about it. This version of events shifts the entire origin story of the mimic in the game's universe. I know it's possible that the mimic program was used in the new Endos, but I say it's not the exact same program. In Hell Wanted 2, it showed that they trained the Endos using some kind of sparring system and visual clue. They don't mimic the behavior 100% of the time, which suggests it's a different approach in the coding of the endoskeleton. And I also imagine a programmer would manually implement the personalities of Freddy, Chica, etc., instead of relying in a full mimic system. I don't have concrete proof for that, but I think it's a pretty reasonable guess. Alright, next point, canon versus continuity. And I'm taking the video from game theory. MacPad once said that continuity refers to a series of connected events, while canon is about ideas approved by Scott to exist in the FNAF universe. For example, Fazgoo might be canon, but it's not part of the main continuity. Just like the Silver Age trilogy, the books introduce characters like Charlie, Henry, and William, and ideas explored in the games, but the stories split into their own timelines. That's what I think is happening with Tales from the Pizzaplex. Until the Secret of the Mimic release and prove otherwise, I believe they are separate universes. Now, before I go to the next point, I want to talk about Fazbear Fright. I've seen a lot of discussion on Reddit about whether Fazbear Fright is canon, whether it is a series of books that exists inside the game's universe, or if they just serve as clues to help us solve the lore. My own conclusion is that Fazbear Fright is not in continuity with the games. I believe it exists in a separate universe and simply provides hints or parallels to help us figure out the game story. Why do I say this? Because we have no real proof that this story takes within the games. Take for example the man in room 1280. That story happened after a snap seed where William ended up exploding, but do we have evidence of that in the games? Absolutely not. Another example, in the book, Andrew is the one keeping William alive, but in the games, that role belongs to the one you should not have killed, which we believe is Cassidy. Is there any proof that Andrew is the same as Cassidy? No, we actually have three different Jeremys in the games, but no size of Andrew. With all of this, I'm confident that Fazbear Fright is set in its own universe separate from the games. Now I want to talk about the main connection between Tales from the Pizzaplex and Fazbear Fright. And how do they connect? The answer lies in the first story, Frailty. In that story, the girl wears the same pendant that Eleanor gives to another character in Fazbear Fright, in the story To Be Beautiful. That's a strong connection, and to me, it's even more proof that the Tales and Fazbear Fright books are connected to each other, but not necessarily to the game. So, for now, I believe this book exists in a separate timeline, and while they give us clues and things, they aren't directly part of the main continuity. Now, to my next point, Edwin and Henry. Since Edwin was introduced to the books, I always believed that Edwin is a Henry Scarlet to the games, because they could be the exact same character if you take out their knife. Let me show you. Both are single fathers that need to take off their children in their jobs. Both can keep up with the work and their children, so they create a machine to help them take care of the child. Because both are so focused on their job, they neglect their child to the point that by accident they die outside of the workplace. And if we count the silver eyes, both of them destroy their creation out of grief because their creation reminds them of the child. So if Edwin is now part of the game, he needs to be different from Henry because this will be redundant and really lazy to have two characters whose only difference is their name. Now with all of this, I think I have good enough evidence to prove that Tale from the Pizzaplex is not canon to the games. And the new teaser of Stay Up Latte is more proof of the separation between the games and the books. Now with this, should we discard the books? No, I'm not saying that. Like with Fazbear Fry, Tales from the Pizzaplex is giving us stories, characters and plots that help us theorize and guide us to the right direction. Should we take them one-to-one with the games? No, we should only use them to help us fill up the blanks, and I think that's a perfect balance between the books and the games. Now, before you leave, if you can stay for 60 seconds more, I will appreciate it. I'm Migalto, an indie developer right now. I'm working on a game with two of my friends. It's like Call of Duty Zombie meets Cyberpunk 2077. This channel will feature content like this to build interest in our game. Even if the game is not your thing, subscribing helps me just keep going. I struggle finding a job in the game development, so I'm building my own future. And really thank you for watching this video and stay until the end. I'll see you on the next one, probably in a year from now.